World champion Nico Rosberg has announced his retirement from the sport 5 days after winning his first title. He said after 25 years he'd achieved his dream and it felt right to be walking away.
Since 25 years since I started racing, my goal and my dream was very, very clear. It was to win the World Championship. And I've achieved that now with your help. So thank you so much for your part of it. Your part in it, because you kept me motivated, kept me pushing. But this year, it's been extremely tough as well. I really gave it everything I had. I didn't leave a stone unturned, and I'm not willing to do that again for next year. And so I've decided to call it a day. Stop racing here. Just following my heart. You just live once, so my heart is telling me to do this. And it just feels completely right.
Who's a former Formula One driver, of course, joins me via webcam. Were you surprised?
I think the whole pit lane has been shocked by the announcement. It's not very often you see a world champion, especially only after 5 days, basically giving up on the title. So, big shock.
And the head?
I think he's quite brave in a way. I think I, personally have a huge amount of respect for Nico. I think he's a class act on the track and off the circuit. You have to understand the pressures that he's been under. I think he's handled that very well. But to actually walk away from the sport that he's loved for so long, if you're going to do it, I guess doing it now when you're on top of it is the right time.
What does it mean to the team, though, you think?
I think it'll be an interesting set of dynamics there, because obviously they're losing, although Lewis Hamilton will be retained, who's won the title several times. But, when you lose the current guy, it takes a little bit of drive and emphasis out of the team itself, but they will replace Nico. It won't be easy. For Nico as well, I think it's a big decision in walking away from obviously a huge amount of kudos as world champ, but also fiscally. If he's not going to be in the sport anymore, I think he's walking away from several $100,000, if not millions.
I mean, he does have a young daughter. I mean, it's a dangerous sport. Do family considerations come into all too aware of the dangers? He would have grown up with all of that.
Yeah, I think being a sports person, anyone who's in top-line sport understands that there's sacrifices, and the family does get an impact upon it. I think it's been particularly hard for Nico this year with the fight with Lewis, and I think maybe it's taken its toll. And I think, again, that's a decision he's reflected on and wants to be part and parcel of his family unit in a bigger way. And Formula One is busy. Over 20 Grand Prix. Takes you away from your family a huge amount of time. So from that perspective, I think, yes, I think it's a good decision for him. A loss, though, to F1 and a loss to the fans, because I think, as I say, he was a class act and a great world champion.
But because he was a class act, as you describe him, perhaps plenty of options.
I'm sure he's got several options, whether they're still on the circuit and other formulas even that are less hectic. He could do commentary, he could do many things, but it never replaces F1. Whatever you do, other forms of motorsport, TV, having done that myself, it never does replace the pinnacle of motorsport, and Formula One is the pinnacle. So once he's gone, it will be quite difficult to get back. But as I say, he leaves as 2016 world champion, and there's only one of those.
That's an interesting observation, though. Do you still miss it?
Of course. I wouldn't fit in a car anymore, that's for sure, but yes, I miss it.
There's no buzz quite like it, I imagine.
No, it's an adrenaline, and it's something that you can't reproduce in anything else you do. And anybody who's in sport will tell you the same, I'm sure of it. Live TV is great, but for me, it just didn't quite cut it in terms of sitting in the cockpit of a Formula One car.